Hi everyone, it's me West Coast Mom, and today we're going to talk about graphs and crochet. There are a lot of great graphs out there. Some are intended for crochet, some are perler bead graphs, some are needlepoint graphs. There's lots of graphs that you can find of basically so many different things. And so you need to decide once you find a graph what different technique. And so I'm going to talk about 4 different techniques of changing a graph into a creation. Alright, so, and there's pros and cons for each depending on your size and what you want to do with it. Alright, so first off, let's talk about C to C. C to C or corner to corner is quite popular. I did this particular graph by the Crochet Couch, and it is 79 by 86. That's the number of squares and blocks in the graph, and I did it in C to C, and it's quite big. It basically is a 5-foot square, more or less, blanket. So keep in mind that when you do C to C, for me, each block is about 1 inch square. So if you want to sort of figure out how big it's going to be, that will take into consideration, and it depending on the size. So if you want something really big, this is a great technique for doing that. You can see what it is. It works great for big pictures, small pictures, what have you. All right, what's another way of doing it? For smaller objects, you could also do Bobble Stitch. This is a Bobble Stitch pillow that I did. And I used this graph here, and this particular graph was 36 by 36, so definitely smaller. And I did Bobble Stitch, so for each box it's a bobble, and it's very pixelated, it's very clear. It's smaller, not because the graph is smaller as well, but for me each box is about 1/2 inch. So, and this is a big cushion. And now Bobble Stitch is really nice because, like I said, the picture is not only really clear, but keep in mind bobbles take a lot of yarn. So that is something to take into consideration. But I really like this pillow. It's really soft and cozy, and I love the picture on that. So that's that one. All right, something else. This is what I call the Bobble Combo. And what I mean by that is, here's the graph. It's smaller. It is by One Dog Woof, and it's a sheep. Now I call this a Bobble Combo because the actual sheep itself is done in Bobble Stitch, but the background is just in single crochet. Now this graph happens to be 23 by 23, and it works out to be 12 inches square. Obviously, depending on the yarn and the hook that you use, everything's going to vary, but that just gives you a ballpark figure. I like this because you do save a little bit on yarn. Like I said, that full-on bobble pillow before uses a lot of yarn. Here, because it's only the picture that uses the bobbles, so you're saving a little bit of yarn, especially in the background, but it also makes the picture stand out quite nicely. And Bobble Stitch for me personally, because it's a sheep, bobbles and sheep just go really well together. So that worked out quite well. So I call this the Bobble Combo because it's a combination of both bobbles and non-bobbles, and in this case, single crochets. Now, here's another one. This is Tunisian Crochet. Tunisian Crochet is totally different, uses a special hook. And for this one, the graph turns out quite nicely. I modified this graph. This one is 40 by 40. So it's actually almost double the size of this one, yet the final product is basically the same size. They're both kind of 12 inches square. This is really nice because it's very clear. Again, just like the bobble, it's very clear, but it's certainly more pronounced with the bobble stitches. It's very clear in Tunisian. I will say that the picture is distorted a bit in terms of length or vertical wise. You will see that my character Totoro looks nice and plump in the graph, but he's a bit stretched out in the Tunisian Crochet, mainly because it's 2 rows for every one across, and so it does get stretched out a little bit this way, but it does make it nice and clear. I'm all for techniques in which the picture looks really clear. Now, what I haven't shown you is a graph done in single crochet, and I have tried that, but I find that the picture is somewhat distorted because not all graphs work out well. And so I had tried it, but I didn't like it, so I took it apart because I found that it really distorted the picture and it wasn't as clear as I thought. I find personally that these 4 different techniques are the most clear, because if you're gonna have a graph and you want to replicate it, it should look like it, right? So depending on the size that you want to do, like I said, this is 40 by 40, so it's quite big in terms of a graph, but the finished product is quite small. Bobble tends to make things bigger, because like I said, can you believe that these are the same size, right? But I mean, this graph is almost half the size of this one. And you know, and it depends on what you want to make. I've been making a lot of cushions lately. If you want to make something big like a blanket, C2C is great because it's big and it works up quickly that way. So it depends on the look that you want, and it depends on, you know, the size of the object. You know, all of these I have, all of these items I've got videos on and how I made them, so you could always look that up if you're curious. But basically that is a comparison of all the different graph techniques. They're all quite different looks. This is, like I said, Bobble tends to make it look sort of 3D, whereas the C2C and the Tunisian are more flat and smooth, and so it depends on the look that you want. So anyways, that is my comparison of different graph techniques. Graphs are a lot of fun. It's great because you can virtually take most graphs or pictures and turn them into graphs and recreate them in your crochet, and so it's a lot of fun. All right, so there you go. Thanks for watching.